A Friday night in St. Louis, and there's a look at the crowd filing in. Big crowd. The Blue Jays, the Cardinals in game number 1 of this weekend series. Jose Bautista showing it wasn't a fluke with 54 home runs a year ago. He leads all of Major League Baseball with 22. How about Lance Berkman? His opposite field home run from the left side of the plate last night, numbered 300 as a left-handed batter. It's interleague play on a gorgeous night here in St. Louis. The Toronto Blue Jays and the St. Louis Cardinals. With Al Raboski, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Welcome to Cardinals baseball. Chris Carpenter, he's an ace. He's a stopper. He showed us why last night.
Most definitely. He really had to turn things around, and he did so. Pitching one of his best games of the season, and he got a lot of run support the first time this year. It was a good overall victory, all set up by Chris Carpenter.
We are moments away from our first pitch here tonight. The Blue Jays and the Cardinals here in St. Louis. We've seen him before. Brandon Morrow gets the start. Westbrook for St. Louis. A look at that matchup when we come back. Take a look at our first bank. First take. First bank, we're banking on your future. And Brandon Morrow is one of those guys that enjoys the road much more so than home. Look at the difference in his ERA. And Al, what can we expect out of Morrow here tonight?
And the opposite was last year, particularly when he faced the Cardinals, as he was outstanding. 8 shutout innings, only allowed 5 hits, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. He is a strikeout pitcher. He had a 17-game strikeout game last year.
That's for the Blue Jays. How about for the Cardinals? It's Jake Westbrook. We'll talk about him next on Fox Sports Midwest. Welcome back to the Major Leagues. Yesterday afternoon. Hopefully we won't see those bullpen guys with Jake Westbrook going tonight.
Jake's really getting his act together. He's keeping the ball out of the middle of the plate, keeping the ball down, gets his ground balls, and he's very capable of getting double play balls. The ball club has won 9 of his last 13 games.
So the right-hander gets the start tonight. Let's meet the Toronto Blue Jays and 3 key players when we come back. Game starting tonight here in the Gateway City. Toronto has lost 4 straight, but they're only 3 games below 500, thanks to 3 specific players. Jim Hayes takes a closer look.
Jose Bautista's nickname growing up was the Rat because he was skinny and he had big ears. During his rookie season in 2004, he wore 5 different uniforms, the only player in history to do so. And his 54 home runs last year were a franchise record. At 30 years of age, Jose Bautista still has big ears, but now he's an all-star and one of the game's best hitters. In 139 career at-bats as a Pirate facing the Cardinals, Bautista hit just 4 home runs. In his first game against the Cardinals as a Blue Jay, he hit 2 home runs in 3 at-bats. In 2004, Bautista was on 5 different teams in one season. No one wanted him. Now, no pitchers want to face him. Ricky Romero helped Cal State Fullerton to a College World Series title only after beating John Jay's Miami Hurricanes in the semifinals. Romero is one of only a few pitchers with an ERA under 3, but the only pitcher whose girlfriend is a former Miss USA winner. Ricky Romero was another member of the incredible 2005 draft class, chosen 6th overall, right after Ryan Braun and right before Troy Tulowitzki. Romero has won 33 games in his first 75 career starts, and even though he got a no decision in his only start against the Cardinals, he pitched 8 innings of shutout baseball. Romero has the 3rd highest winning percentage among left-handed starters in baseball, behind Boston's John Lester and New York's CC Sabathia. Adam Lynn's breakout season in 2009 was a surprise to everyone, except Adam Lynn. He was at it again this season before a bad back cost him a month. But since his return from the DL a few weeks ago, he's shown no signs of slowing down. Lind has extremely quick hands and likes the ball to get deep into the hitting area before swings. 2009, Lynn drove in 6 runs on opening day and never slowed down, hitting 35 homers, driving in 114 runs. He won his first and only Silver Slugger Award and earned the Edgar Martinez Designated Hitter Award. In his last game against the Cardinals, he went 2 for 4 with a homer.
Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. By Chevy, see your Mid-America Chevy dealers. By Southwest Airlines, new Rapid Rewards, unlimited reward seats, and no blackout dates. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 in quality tires and expert auto service. And by Steak and Shake, life needs flavor. Glad you're with us. It's a gorgeous evening for baseball here at Busch Stadium. Big crowd is here. And along with Al Rabowski, I'm Dan McLaughlin and our entire Fox Sports Midwest crew. The Toronto Blue Jays have been struggling coming into play tonight. They have lost 4 straight. And on the road, they are 19-21 as Jake Westbrook is finishing up his warm-up tosses. Be nice to see a very positive ground ball laden outing here from Jake Westbrook.
Well, that's it, Dan. You know, he has the ability to get ground ball after ground ball. He's induced the second most ground balls in the National League, and that is his forte. So keep the ball out of the middle of the plate and keep the ball down, get your ground balls, and rely on the much improved defense of the Cardinals.
There's a look at Bautista, bats third in this lineup. League leader in home runs with 22. Yanel Escobar, their shortstop, will lead it off against Jake Westbrook. This time of the summer here in St. Louis, you never know what you may have temperature-wise. Could be 100 degrees, it might be 80. It's the latter. It is perfect. 82 degrees here in St. Louis, and quickly no balls and 2 strikes.
We will suffer, won't we?
It's coming, you know that.
At some point, but right now, let's just enjoy it.
We understand the weather should be like this for all 3 games. Night game tomorrow at 6:15, and then the afternoon game on Sunday. That's ripped into left field for a leadoff base hit on a 1-2 pitch.
Escobar went down, kind of lifted that ball and the line drive, but not unusual for a starting pitcher, and a lot of times a sinker baller take them a while to kind of find their release point, get down in the strike zone. But the one thing about a single ball pitcher is they'll give up a lot of hits, but you're never afraid to get that double play.
Eric Thames is at the plate. Jim was talking about it on the pregame show, Al. The hot bat of Skip Schumacher, maybe being overlooked a bit, has been his defense, which is back on track. Love to see a pull to second and have a chance to get that double play, and that's hit into the seats for strike one.
Well, you know you're always going to get a tremendous effort from Schumacher, but last year when he kind of struggled a little bit offensively, his defensive play at second regressed a bit. Now he's swinging the bat better, and that's only natural after coming back from a lengthy injury. Only had 3 games on the rehab because Punto went down. They had to rush him back, but now he's ready to play.
And Punto and Freeze, we understand, could be back by the opening of interleague play next week on the road. Then Tony La Russa has a lot of decisions and problems, and good problems to have, which is players that can compete at this level and really give him some flexibility in that lineup.
Looking at this young man, Thames, not the young man Tony La Russa, but just recalled yesterday from Las Vegas. 53 games, he hit .352.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Broke his bat, pulled it foul. Jose Bautista on deck. Turned into one of the great stories in baseball last year and a half. And again, he leads all of baseball in home runs with 22. Two and two the count. Orioles have jumped out to a 3-0 lead in the bottom of the 4th against Cincinnati. Milwaukee has Minnesota tonight. Keep an eye on both those games. Pick off play and safe at first.
Almost caught him taking that extra step in his lead. Quick throw by Westbrook. Obviously, you pay attention to that runner, shorten his lead, and Yachty will do the rest if they attempt to steal.
A 2-2 pitch, not running, and it's taken low. Home plate umpire is Tim McClellan. He's been around a long time. The crew chief calling balls and strikes.
And don't get fooled with his delayed call.
Drives me crazy. He is a nightmare for play-by-play guys. The 3-2 pitch, not running again. Here's Schumacher. Out at second, to first, and safe as he gets down the line very well. A look at the lineup for the Toronto Blue Jays tonight. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines, Escobar, Thames, Bautista, Lind, Hill, Molina, Encarnacion, the former Red, then Davis and Morrow. It's a team that has scored just 3 runs the previous 4 games. 22 home runs. He's driven in 47. And pulls it foul. So now the question is, what has happened to this guy to make him one of the premier sluggers and just overall hitters? He hits for average too.
Yeah, he's hitting
in Major League Baseball.
325, leading with 22 home runs after he led the major leagues with 54 a year ago. Well, he always had physical talent and skill. But they said when he got to Toronto, he liked to hit a lot of balls to the opposite field. And he was kind of a little more of a free swinger. Wasn't as selective. They've got him to try and speed up the bat a little bit, pull the ball. He's always had tremendous bat speed and a good athlete, but now he just has great confidence and a real efficient follow through. Finishes high, as you know, where you get a lot of whip and gets the distance, the home run balls, where before he's more conscious of trying to just poke the ball to the opposite field.
So you're saying full extension then with the swing? Extension
with a swing, and then kind of that follow through where he just kind of the helicopter.
That ball scoots away from Berkman, but Thames will stay put at first base. The count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. Defense is brought to you by Dobbs, Holiday, Rasmus, Jay. The outfield, Descalso, Terrio, Schumacher, and Berkman along the infield. And it's Westbrook and Molina, the battery tonight. They also say he has put his hands a little bit higher in his stance as well as time was called.
Well, it's hard to believe in 04 he actually played for 5 different ball clubs.
It's amazing.
Opening day he was on Baltimore's roster. Tampa Bay selected him on waivers. Purchased by Kansas City from Tampa Bay. Traded from Kansas City to the Mets, and then was traded from the Mets to the Pirates. And that's what was all in 5 teams in 1 year.
Just missed outside, evens it up at 2-2.
And somebody must have thought at that time that, you know, he was a pretty talented player, because he was traded by the Mets to Pittsburgh for Chris Benson and Jeff Keppinger.
There you go. The 2-2 pitch to Bautista. Rips it foul. And there's a good example of that bat speed that you spoke of, Al. He turned on that pitch like it was nothing.
Set up away, and the ball is down and in, and he just drops that bat head. But you see how he finishes with that lightning quick hands, and the ball just jumps off his bat now. Where before he just really was kind of, you know, feeling for the ball out over the plate.
The 2-2 missed outside. To give me an idea of what he has meant to Toronto, including tonight, going back to the beginning of last year and just about half of this season. He's played in 229 games. He has hit 76 home runs. Launches it into left center field, and that will get down extra bases. Rasmus couldn't get to it. Thames is being held up at third. It's a double for Bautista. Runners at second and third with 1 out.
But that gives you an idea how the ball jumps off his bat, as that looked like it was going to be somewhat routine. And this ball just takes off. But he got the arms extended, reaches out there. I think Rasmus was totally fooled by the play, that the ball was hit so hard and got by him. Not saying he would have caught it, but I think he didn't expect it to carry that way.
That finish remind me of Albert Pujols, how he finished.
And you saw what I'm talking about, how that, you know, the finish where you really fall through and then just really accentuates it at the end. You know, Bautista, actually, we may not see it in this series, but he's taking ground balls at third now.
And when he was with Pittsburgh, that's where he was at.
Correct. And they have got no production at third base at all this year. The third base position has hit 177. Encarnacion, remember him, he was traded from Cincinnati to Toronto for Scott Rowland. He's at third today.
And a ground ball to Schumacher. That'll drive in a run to make it 1-0 Toronto. Lynn picks up the RBI. It's 46th.
Very quiet crowd, isn't it?
Still coming in. Still coming in.
Yes, Dan, I understand that, but it's still quiet. They're on tippy toes walking in.
Here is Hill. 239 average. 3 home runs. 28 driven in. Strike 1.
Is it a little better? 239 since in 40 games since coming off the disabled list.
One ball, 1 strike. Toronto in the very tough American League East Division. 8.5 games back and 3 games below the 500 mark overall.
Lost 4 straight. They've had a tough road trip. This is the third of a 3-city trip.
2-1.
Every Blue Jay is under 261 average on this road trip, except for Jose Molina, who's hitting 375.
Should be pitch number 24 of the inning by Jake Westbrook. Evens it up at 2-2.
Obviously, when you're a sinker ball pitcher, you'd like to, or the game plan would be that you would get out of an inning with 3 ground balls in about 10 pitches.
Not tonight, not so far.
And that's what's has affected him at times this year. The pitch count getting up so high and really struggling to get through 6. Seemed just a little frustrated there as that ball was up in the zone.
Watching Bautista over at third, he keeps stretching. He was holding his lower back and he trotted into second base. Did not look comfortable in doing so. Keeps bending down, touching his toes, trying to get loose. We saw that last night with Roy Oswalt.
You know, these guys are very good athletes, but you just wonder, just by taking ground balls the last few days at third base, all that additional bending over, is that maybe aggravated something in the lower back.
A 3-2 pitch, and it's 2-0 Toronto. Right back up the middle. Hill with the RBI is 29th. Bautista leads in just about every category for the Blue Jays, and that includes runs scored. Plaza Tire Service, Foxmo right back up the middle.
Good piece of hitting. Ball down. He just kind of reached out there. Controlled swing. Just a line drive right back up the middle for the RBI.
And now it's Molina. One is behind the plate. One is in the batter's box.
Aren't you a little surprised that Benji maybe didn't, or I never even heard conversation with him after Buster Posey going out, going back to San Francisco?
Very surprising. This is Jose Molina. 2 balls and no strikes. You would think that Yachty would know how to pitch his brother.
How about they're both currently hitting .298?
Dad is looking down and I'm sure very proud of the 3 boys that have made it to the big leagues. Really amazing to think that you have 3 sons that make it to the big leagues. All 3 have won a World Series. All 3 considered very good defensive catchers in their careers.
And Jose was the backup to Benji when they were on the world champion A's, or at California Angels, not A's.
3-1. A 2-0 lead for Toronto. RBIs by Lynn and Hill. And 31 pitches are ready here in the first inning by Jake Westbrook. Strike to Molina, 3-2. Manager of the Blue Jays is John Farrell. And a familiar face to Cardinal fans is a bullpen coach in Pat Henkin. He enjoyed his best years with the Toronto Blue Jays. Runner goes on the 3-2. That's a base hit to right. 4 hits in the first by the Blue Jays against Jake Westbrook. And it brings in Edwin Encarnacion.
Sinking action there, but it ends up at the knees instead of down lower, and Dave Duncan can have a redo, but he's going to go out there and say, hey, come on, let's just throw 1 pitch, get out of the inning, regroup, and just keep them right there at the 2 runs. But already 33 pitches. Noted for a sinking fastball. Pulls down on it, got downward movement.
Cardinals had the outstanding start last night from Chris Carpenter. 120 or more pitches. 5 times he has done that as a Cardinals. Now he's done it in back-to-back games.
And Dan, you mentioned Pat Henkin's name. Pat was very instrumental in telling the Cardinals, hey, this guy's hurt, but signed Chris Carpenter.
And there's a strike to Encarnacion, the former Red. 250 on the year, 2 home runs, And he has driven in 12. If you get a look at the defense now for St. Louis. 0-1 pitch. Carpenter also had 2 successful sacrifice bunts in a game since June 1st of 2009 by a Cardinals pitcher. How about that?
Little things can like that help you win.
Hard hit, backhanded by Descalso, and you know he'll show off the arm. Toronto grabs an early lead. It's 2-0 here at Busch Stadium. Here in interleague play with an early lead. Big crowd on hand. Terrio, Jay, and Holiday here in the first inning. Then Berkman, who homered last night. Colby Rasmus, Skip Schumacher, Yadier Molina, Jake Westbrook again, the pitcher batting 8th, and then Daniel Descalso. What do we know about this right-hander, Al?
Well, we know last season he was pretty impressive. So he went 8 shutout innings, only 5 hits, and against the Cardinals, and he's a hard thrower. You don't hear a lot of guys that throw the 4-seam fastball. That's his forte. Has a slider, so they've been trying to incorporate, you know, the slower stuff, the curveball, and you'll notice he has the split finger grip. That's the pitch he threw in the in the bullpen to try and soften things up. But you should see a lot of pitches up if he's a 4-seamer. But, you know, in his case, he doesn't have a lot of movement, but he is a strikeout pitcher.
Here's a 1-0 pitch to Ryan Terrio, the Cardinal leadoff man. Yeah, and you really get a look at 2 different ways to get it done. You've got the sinking 2-seamer of Jake Westbrook, and then the 4-seamer, which stays straight and at times can be up in the zone. Maybe as a pitcher, former pitcher, Al, you can describe the difference between the 2.
Well, I think the easiest way to talk about it, and because it's almost mind-boggling, it's anti-productive, because all infielders and outfielders throw 4-seam pitches because they don't want the ball to sail. They don't want the movement.
A high fly ball into right field. Bautista makes the catch.
So that kind of sounds contrary to what you would think a pitcher wants movement. So that's why you see so many of them try to throw the 2-seamer, the sinker. But not everyone can throw it. And he relies on location. He relies on the velocity to throw it by you. As I said, he will always hold the most extreme grip, the splitter. That's really his changeup. Trying to take something off because everything is hard, fastball and slider.
John Jay with the home run last night. 5th of the season, 16 driven in. He just seems to make adjustments along the way. You go back to last year, it seemed like at times he was being overexposed after the trade to get Westbrook, and Ludwig was out, so Jay was in, but still he wound up hitting 300 as you get a look at Berkman on deck.
Well, Dan, you and I had a lot of discussions last year about John Jay, and I told you he's on a very good ball club. He's a fourth outfielder, but the more you see him, there's something about him that gives a little jump start. He would be the fourth outfielder if everyone was healthy. But he's a guy that we're getting to the point where you don't ever mind seeing him out there because he's going to give you everything he's got.
Made a diving catch in right field. Pseudo catch, if you will.
Yeah, I kind of knew where you're going.
He got away with it.
He got away with it, but he's a good actor.
That's right. It's part of his resume.
I saw him in Miami Vice.
That was it. Strikeout of John Jay, and it brings in Holiday. Defensively, brought to you by Dobbs, the Blue Jays. Thames, Davis, Bautista in the outfield, Encarnacion, Escobar on the left side, Bill, Lynn on the right side of the infield. It's Morrow and Molina, the battery, and here's Matt Holliday. Stirrups showing again. Matt is hitting .339, 8 home runs. He's driven in 37. Grounds it to Escobar, diving stop, and he makes a fine play at shortstop and takes a hit away from Matt Holliday. After an inning of play here at Busch, it's 2-0. The Blue Jays, a 2-0 lead. Jake Westbrook is a guy that warms up very quickly, so they have to wait to come back from the commercial timeout. Now we're set to go, and that was a look at that play by Escobar. Really good play to his left.
We see Holiday hit the ball so hard on the ground that many times he just powers it through the infield. So it really was a nice play by Escobar going to his left, diving, getting up with a strong throw to get Holiday, who always hustles.
Here is Davis. He's bounced around a little bit. Saw him in the National League Central with Pittsburgh.
Went to San Francisco.
Yep, San Francisco. Good memory, Al. And then off to Oakland. The 2-1 pitch right down the middle. 2-2.
I really do expect Westbrook's going to be a much more efficient pitcher this inning. Also, one of the attributes being a sinker ball pitcher, someone that gets so many ground balls, he really fields his position very well.
The 2-2 pitch to Davis. Swing and a miss. Strikeout. First of the night for Jake Westbrook. Our look at our Toyota keys to the game, and Toronto, does not score a lot of runs, and it's worth repeating, 3 runs in their previous 4 games. The total. That's a look at your Toyota keys to the game.
Maybe I'll explain why some of these pretty good pitchers don't have high win totals. But I mentioned that Batista, they're going to move him to third base once he gets comfortable. They had a young man, Brett Lowry, who is only 21, and he is who they received as compensation for their trade with Milwaukee. You know, in
Sean Markham.
And they were going to bring this kid up. You know, he was just crushing the ball down there. They just say he's a monster, only 21, but he broke his hand. So now they're going to try to get more offense. They're going to move Batista to third.
Brandon Morrow, ground ball to Schumacher. Every Thursday on FoxSportsMidwest.com. We'll bring you the Farm Report. Brian Walton checks in on the prospects. Just head to FoxSportsMidwest.com and the Farm Report. We will not see Drabek, who is considered the top prospect for the Phillies. He was part of the Halladay deal, and they say his stuff is absolutely awesome.
I remember his father, Doug
Definitely.
Drabek, was.
Remember him closing out the Cardinals for them to win a division championship here in St. Louis.
Yeah, but when he was pitching with the Pirates, the Houston native was really one of the best pitchers in the game.
Terrio charges, gloves, throws, and makes the play. Berkman leads it off when we come back to Busch Stadium here in St. Louis. Half of the second. Unfortunately, no Albert Pujols in the lineup. Big question with this club, Al. Can they hold up, tread water throughout that time that Pujols will miss in the lineup here for St. Louis?
And what we're talking about is, you know, if you stay around 500, you know,
this division you should be fine.
Yeah, and I really do believe that they'll be fine. Obviously, you can't replace his bat and his production, but you know, it creates opportunities for others. We'll see how good some of these kids are. It's kind of a shame right now, is, you know, in many ways the club would like to see Hamilton, you know, get a shot. He has pinch hit a little bit better as his third stint up here. You know, he's was recalled when Albert got hurt. And he has to have a couple successful pinch hit appearances, but you know, Berkman will be rested enough times and maybe go play the outfield a little bit, where Hamilton will get a few more starts and see what you got there.
1-2 pitch outside, 2-2. Berkman so good at going to the opposite field and doing it with power. As he hit his 300th home run last night from the left side. 18th overall now here in St. Louis.
He's fourth. What is it? Fourth among switch hitters. Fifth all-time among switch hitters with 345 home runs. 5 behind Chili Davis. Remember Chili?
Oh yeah. And a swing and a miss. Strikeout of Lance Berkman.
Well, we're going to see pitches that are going to be up. And up in the zone, you know, it's harder to catch up to that ball. Most pitchers make a mistake throwing the ball over the middle of the plate when it's up, or even, you know, not far enough in. But when you go out of way, it's a tough pitch to catch up to.
There's Colby Rasmus. To me, Al, just about to say he's got to step it up, and has he done so here? Launching that home run into deep right field. The Cardinals get on the board. 6th home run of the season, and a happy fan out there. It's 2-1.
Getting back to your original statement, you're absolutely right. But Colby, you know, you have a responsibility now that you've got to supply a little bit more power, more production, and that's a great start right there. See if it's an off-speed pitch. Like a down and in, right in his wheelhouse, and he knew what to do with it. Put a big charge in that.
Ball was crushed by Colby. His 6th home run, RBI number 29. Here's Skip Schumacher. Starting to heat it up with his bat. That's into right center field. Hustling out of the box. He's thinking too. On his way to second. In there safely with a double.
Good hustle right there, but Skip Schumacher, a former outfielder, knows that the center fielder going to his left, right-handed thrower's got to completely circle and get the ball back in. So watch him turn around here, stop, and turn around and throw the ball in. That's just enough time for him to aggressively get into second base with a hustling double.
Skip Schumacher coming into play tonight. Last 14 games, hitting .350 with 2 extra base hits, no errors, 6 runs scored, and 7 RBIs.
Little things that maybe people don't quite take note of.
Hit to the right side, and Molina will ground out to first, and Schumacher advances to third.
But Schumacher, when he was out for more than a month, and then he only had 3 games of rehab down at extended spring. Punto goes hurt. He has to be rushed back, and then you're trying to get your timing back here at the major level. But he's played enough games now and seen enough to where he's played himself back into shape, and we're seeing his offensive numbers increase dramatically.
I know that you've been keeping that mental scoreboard of the pitcher batting eighth.
Yeah, we're not doing real well.
Al? Where are we at?
About 0 for 6.
So here's Westbrook with a runner at third base, and that Schumacher with 2 outs and a 2-1 Toronto lead.
Meaning that the pitcher comes up here with 2 outs, which has really been a trademark of this ball club. And one of them is Descalzo's been very good in that department. But now you have the pitcher, with 2 outs up here. So in the mind of Brandon Morrow, a #1 draft pick, fifth overall back in '06, he feels like the Cardinals aren't going to get any more than the one they got on the Colby Rasmus home run.
0-2 pitch. Westbrook spoils it. Matter of fact, Ryan Theriot, average-wise, is the best in the National League. With 2 outs and runners in scoring position, he's hitting .364. That really has been a trademark of the Cardinal team this year. 2 out base hits. The 0-2. Strikeout of Westbrook? No.
And Dan, I think when Tony has used it more extensively, a lot of people are kind of questioning, well, you always said you put the pitcher batting 8th so Pujols after the first time up would become the cleanup hitter. That's not what he said. What he always also said, and more importantly, is I always do it when I think we're going to have trouble scoring runs. So that's why he's doing it.
The idea is you have essentially two leadoff men. You want Pujols to bat in the first inning, and then as the game progresses, you've got position player batting ninth and a table setter, you hope, to get in front of those guys.
Ooh.
And that is a strikeout of Jake Westbrook, third of the night for Morrow. Jim Hayes, the news of the day, coming up when we come back. In St. Louis. Want to remind you, you have about 4 hours, and then our 48-hour sale will be through for $12 tickets for 3 select games to kick off summer. That's a Sunday against the Cubs, the Willie McGee bobblehead night, also the Pujols action figurine,
It's hard to believe.
$12 pavilion level seats
For Willie McGee bobblehead.
This is hit out to right, and that ball is foul. Not by much off the bat of Thames, but again, that's August 26th, the Willie McGee bobblehead, September 4th against the Reds, the Pujols action figurine, and a Sunday afternoon against the Cubs. $12 seats.
Tell me
available.
It's not so.
It is so.
Really? Unbelievable. Just foul. Would have been a leadoff extra base hit.
But again, it's only available till midnight tonight.
And $12 for the pavilion.
1 ball, 1 strike on Eric Thames, who grounded out his first time up. And this one will stay fair. Will it stay in the ballpark? At the track, it's at the wall, it's off the base of the wall, and Jay will get it back in. Thames is in with a leadoff double. It brings in Jose Bautista.
Yes, it was destiny, wasn't it?
One way or another. Jim Hayes has joined us. And Jim, as you get a look at the swing here by Thames.
That ball up, out over the middle of the plate. Really well struck, right at the base of the wall.
Your guest, pregame show, Alan Craig, and health this season has been the big question mark for the Cardinals.
Well, he's got a broken bone in his right knee. He's on the DL. He's eligible to be off it right now, but still needs more time. But he told me on the pregame show he's thinking maybe a couple of weeks he could be back. That's good news, and for a guy right now that isn't even running, just letting the knee rest and doing range of motion things. But the Cardinals could really use his bat.
Oh yeah, and especially even if he doesn't start, Al, just having a guy, whether it be against left-handed pitching or to have power coming off the bench, you really need Alan Craig.
Well, I have never seen a major league club with so little experience on their bench as what the Cardinals have right now, all due to injury. You know, if you get Freeze, you get Alan Craig.
Bautista with a high fly ball. Left field. Holiday back with just enough room on the track to make the catch.
When you get those guys back, then you feel pretty comfortable.
Voting is now open for the All-Star Game in Phoenix. Help send your favorite Redbirds to this year's All-Star Game. Vote online up to 25 times at Cardinals.com. Vote early, vote often, vote now at Cardinals.com.
And with Allen, really a tribute to how far he's come as a major leaguer. The fact that you look at the Cardinals lineup and all the injuries, and you're like, they could use Craig's bat in the middle of that lineup. Remember, last year he had a tough time adjusting to being up and not getting a lot of at bats, and he's really put it together. 336. Tough time to be on the DL when you're hitting like that.
Here is Lind, who picked up a ground ball RBI back in the first to make it 1-0. Tony's going to have an issue, and it's a good problem to have. The health of Punto, David Freese, and if Freese is playing the majority of the time, where does Descalso go, who's provided a real nice spark to this team? You have Schumacher now starting to play well at second base, which would be a spot for Daniel. But that is a good problem to have.
Yeah, and really that's the lineup that was envisioned. I've always admired Tony for injuries are part of the game, and the Cardinals have used the disabled list more times this year than all last year. But he concentrates and worries about what he has, not what he has not, and what he doesn't have.
2 balls and 1 strike on Lind, who picked up that RBI number 46 back in the first inning.
Yeah, and he made that one swing off of Westbrook and came up empty, but you could see he just lets it fly, and that's how he hurt his back, you know, in the Verlander no-hitter.
Popped up, foul territory. Descalso makes the catch. Tell you what, Daniel hasn't embarrassed himself at all with the glove either. He's been terrific over at third base.
Very reliable. And I know you're thinking right now, where's Terry Pendleton? But Daniel does a good imitation of Terry. Terry was outstanding, going over the shoulder, running away from home plate, making that play, and many times turning around and throwing a guy out at the plate trying to tag up and score. But Daniel's been, you know, one of those guys that you feel very comfortable when he's in the lineup, that he's going to give you a nice job defensively, a competitive at bat, particularly late in the game.
Leadoff double by Thames. Bautista hit one to the track that was caught. Thames did not tag up. Lind, a pop out, and now no balls, 1 strike on Hill. Pitch was up and he got away with it. It's hit out of play. Cardinals will have Descalso, the 9th place hitter, then Terrio and Jay coming up.
One of the things to think about, you know, she made a nice play on that ball. I don't know if,
very happy.
Did she catch it or did she Bob Euchre it? Wait till it stops rolling and pick it up.
1-2.
But you know, one of the things when you get Punto back, one of the tough things for Daniel Descalso is the fact that, you know, really how you judge a utility infielder is, do they have the ability to play shortstop? That would be his weakest link. But that's why Punto is so valuable to this ball club.
You can also see a situation as Freese eases himself back into the lineup. Daniel will probably play 1 out of every 3 games, you would assume.
Sure. Remember, before Alan Craig got hurt, he was getting some exposure at third. So, as you said, those are nice problems to have, and hopefully in the next couple weeks we'll get some reinforcements, and then the big guy will come back, and that'll be just like trading for a superstar.
And Jim is thinking the big guy is Gerald Laird.
Really?
Well, he's one of the big guys. Gerald's got the broken index finger. He is able to throw and catch now, even hitting off a tee, and said he hopes to be cleared to take BP next week, which is a good step toward going out on a rehab and returning to the club.
You know, if Tony Cruz keeps on playing like he has, you know, Gerald Laird's going to heal a lot quicker.
There's a swing and a miss by Hill. Descalso leads it off when we come back. Cardinals and send us your email the booth questions. First plate appearance of the night for Daniel Descalso. 2-1 in favor of the Blue Jays. Matchups this weekend. Jaime Garcia goes tomorrow. Carlos Villanueva 4-1 for the Blue Jays will go tomorrow. It's 6:15 a first pitch. Then Kyle McClellan and Ricky Romero. Very tough lefty at 1:15 on Sunday. All those games right here on Fox Sports Midwest. 2 balls and no strikes on Daniel with Terry on deck and then John Jay. Talking about the rotation, Jim, at second base, what could happen there? Well, Skip Schumacher, the way that he's been hitting, be very tough to remove him at any point in time. He's playing great.
Last 14 games hitting .341 with 6 runs scored, 7 ribbies, and a walk-off home run to boot. A 4-game hitting streak for Skip. And Al mentioned it, just a handful of games as he went to extended spring for his rehab and got off to a slow start upon his return. As you see the walk, Skip said the problem is when your timing is off, you want to look at a lot of pitches. So he's in there, he's looking at a lot of pitches, and suddenly he's down 0-2 an awful lot, and that makes it really tough. And he said, Tony, let him sit a few days to try to straighten things out. Now he's gotten himself back on track. He's red hot.
So much of this game is mental. And you know how Skip is always so hard on himself. You know, all of a sudden he starts feeling like, oh, I'm not helping the ball club, I'm hurting the ball club. And it really was an unfair situation that he was put into. And Tony would be the first one to tell you. But, you know, everybody has such high respect for Skip that we knew he could battle his way, but it would just take a few weeks to get his timing back.
Ryan Theriot at the plate, flied out to right. First time up, showing bunt. Gets it down, hustling down the line. This will be close. He is out. Again, a reminder, we have our summer savings tickets right now until midnight. This is a 48-hour deal, started yesterday. It ends tonight at midnight, and the 3 games that are highlighted for $12 tickets. Sunday, July 31st against the Cubs. Friday, August 26th, the Willie McGee bobblehead, and Sunday against the Reds, September 4th, the Pujols action figurine. Cardinals.com/summer. And we also have operators standing by because these are very close to being sold out. 345-9000, 345-9000, or Cardinals.com/summer. That ball scoots away, so advancing on the play, Descalso. He represents the tying run at third base.
With 1 out, that is a big play, and probably scored as a wild pitch, but it should be a pass ball. Well, it's got to be a pass ball all the way, as Jose Molina very nonchalant on that ball, and could be a big. You're trailing by 1, you just put the runner over to third base with 1 out. Just pull the ball the right side at the very least.
The third baseman, Encarnacion, is even with the bag at third. Everybody else in the infield is back. The outfield, for the most part, straight away. And Jay takes a pitch up high, 2 balls and no strikes.
Now, one thing about a pitcher that throws, you know, 4-seam fastballs and elevates the ball, that will produce a lot of fly balls. In this case, the tying sacrifice fly.
The 2-0 pitch. And Jay hits it out to deep center field. Davis is back with room. He'll make the catch. A runner will tag up, and we're tied up. It's 2-2. RBI number 17, and now you talk about it. 4-seamer, you leave it up. Fly balls.
He wanted that pitch away, and he left it up over the middle of the plate. And John Jay, you know, of course, he wanted to put himself on, but at the very least, he did his job tying this ball game with a sac fly.
Here is Matt Holliday. Westbrook has a new life. It's 2-2. I don't know about you, Al, but I like to see the fact that Theriot gets that bunt down. And with a guy like Pujols out, you've got to try to generate offense any way you can.
No doubt about it. As I said, Tony puts that pitcher in the 8th spot because he thinks runs are going to be tough to come by. So you're going to have to manufacture runs. And the guys in the middle of the order, the Holidays, the Berkmans, Rasmus, they're going to have to drive in the runs. But it's the other guys that are going to set the stage.
Jim, you made an interesting comment during the break. Dave Duncan, a meeting with his rotation.
Yeah, after Pujols went down with his injury and said, guys, we got to do better. We got to do our share. And since then, the Cardinals have had 3 straight starters go 7 innings or more. And that's the first time they've had that since May 16th through the 19th, when they had 4 games in a row like that. He said he's not surprised by it. They talked about it, and everyone felt individually they needed to step up.
And that was, I just knew that he was going to do that because it gave him a great opportunity to get particularly his veteran staff, to sit there and say, okay, guys, let's don't feel sorry. Now we have extra responsibility. Let's make sure we've had some problems in the bullpen. We've got to take the pressure off the bullpen. You've got to go deeper into games. And, it just gave another reason to do what they, their job.
Up the middle and a base hit for Holiday. Remember, he was robbed for the shortstop, Yadel Escobar, his first time up. So Holiday reaches with a 2-out base hit. And it brings in Berkman.
I wanted to see how much range Escobar has. And he's got a lot, but not enough.
Hyundai Foxmo with a base hit. Cardinals with their 3rd hit. And here is Berkman. Think about trying to play right field as opposed to first base, where you're so involved with just about every play. Not to say that you're not in right field, but first base a lot more active. And Berkman pops it up. Molina will give chase. Encarnacion is there and out of play.
Jose almost reached in there right at the corner of the camera well. Come up with that play. But, and Tony even asked, as you look at Jose's effort, but Tony even asked Berkman, well, which do you prefer, the right field or first base? And, he had pros and cons about each position, but he feels, I'm sure because of his familiarity over the years of playing first base, that he said, I feel most comfortable there.
And Mark Hamilton's a guy that, with Pujols out, sure in the back of his mind, he's going to see some of those starts. We shall see.
He's excited about the opportunity, doesn't like the way in which it presents itself. I asked him about the at-bats he's had. He had that 0 for 18. He's hitting better since then with a couple of pinch hits. He said his welcome to the big league moment was facing Marmol. Had never seen movement like that. He said the only time he faced Tim Lincecum in the Cape Cod League, and he said that was close, but obviously Lincecum was still developing.
And Hamilton, just this week alone, has had 2 big pinch hits. He had a double off the bag at third base, and also in that crazy game, the 8th inning, in which the bullpen had the implosion. At that time, Hamilton had a huge single, which was a 2-1 game.
Well, he came up to the big leagues late last season, September call-up. This season, Hamilton has had 3 stints with the ball club. Each time you come back, you feel a little more comfortable and a little bit more like you belong. And, maybe the biggest thing mentally is you stop giving the opposition too much credit. You start saying, hey, I can play at this level.
Berkman, a swing and a miss, and he is struck out for the 2nd time tonight. With the Cardinals tied up, Jim, we'll see you on the post-game show. Good stuff. It's 2-2. Here is Jose Molina. Ground ball left side, and it is foul. All-Star game Tuesday, July 12th in Arizona. And that's at 7. You'll see that high definition on Fox. By the way, they have Major League Baseball's bracket tournament on the greatest moments in All-Star game history. And we want to tell you that Stan the Man's walk-off home run in 1955 is among the final 8. And it's up against Pete Rose colliding with Ray Fosse in 1970. There's a fly ball, shallow right. Jay is there, and all you have to do is go to MLB.com and vote for Stan.
Won't that be interesting to see how they equate a walk-off home run in the 12th versus, you know,
I think, Al, that most
just
people
run over Fosse in an All-Star game, and really it's never the same.
That's probably the most memorable moment, though.
Yeah.
You know, the collision at the plate because of what happened afterwards.
And it really signified how the All-Star game was played back then.
Good point.
You did not like the other league, and the league presidents would come in and make a patent speech before the game.
Encarnacion rips it out to left center field. That'll take about 10 hops and go all the way to the wall. A one-out double for Encarnacion, who is 1 for 2.
And Pete Rose didn't need any inspiration. And that's how the game was played there. You ran over people, and it was quite memorable. And Fosse, it was never the same. Pitched down and away, but goes out, goes down, and gets it and drives it.
Think about Bo Jackson's monster home run. That was one of the most memorable moments that was on that list. Freddie Lynn's grand slam was on there. Play by Torrey Hunter to rob Barry Bonds in Milwaukee in the tie game. Here's Davis, who struck out his first time up.
So the tie in Milwaukee wasn't one of the choices?
That was not one of the most memorable moments.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was memorable, but not for the way that Bud Selig would want it.
I don't think the commissioner's office would approve of that one.
We'll keep that one off the list. One out runner at second, 1 ball, 1 strike on the 8th place hitter, Davis.
But managers decades ago would manage differently. They would manage to win. And they didn't buy into this philosophy. What started happening where, well, let's get everybody in the game. They went out there and used people how they would use them if they had to win one game to go to the World Series.
1-2 pitch. So the question now with this one counts is why, if you're a manager, wouldn't you take the top setup men in the game and just stack them up?
It's a very good point, Dan, because it's always been interesting to me, and it's not too far away, to look and see how many starting pitchers the last day before the All-Star break are used in relief, and how many of them lose ball games because it's foreign nature to them. They come to the ballpark expecting a day off, then they're rushed into a game in a crucial situation, and they're just not accustomed to it. They didn't mentally prepared for it.
If you're a manager, you got to think about this, Al, too. You look at top setup men, top closers, lefty specialists.
Well, and if you really look at rosters now, managers are taking setup men. They are taking more closers, and for good reason. But obviously there's usually a whole bunch of really deserving starters.
Westbrook knocks it down, looks back at the runner, and Davis really can scoot. They got him by a half step at first.
I mentioned that he fields the ball very well. So unlike his style in the field, he knows his greatest asset is running speed, and he didn't disappoint there. And Westbrook really did have to fire that ball. He wasn't taking anything for granted. And there's just one more reminder of how dangerous it can be at first base, is that throw almost into the runner and almost another collision.
Pitcher Brandon Morrow First time up, grounded out to Skip Schumacher. The Cardinals will have Rasmus, who is homered tonight, Schumacher, who is doubled, and Molina due up. A 2-2 game on this Friday night here at Busch Stadium. 2 balls and no strikes. Talked about it an awful lot, but this is a major disadvantage for the American League teams coming to the National League parks. Their pitchers that have not held a bat all year are asked to bunt, hit, step in a batter's box.
Well, I'm a firm believer that if you need to tweak the interleague play a little bit. Now we've talked about having the 2 15-team leagues and different things, and if you do that, you're going to have the DH all through baseball, or do away with it totally. But I think there's more of a sentiment that maybe as soon as next year, that if you do keep this format, that you start changing things up. In a National League city, you employ the DH. In the American League cities, the pitcher hits. Let the fans see the difference. Let them see that the National League is superior baseball.
2-2 and a swing and a miss. Westbrook picks up his 3rd strikeout. It's 2-2 midway through 4. The 21st, it's our annual road trip package. It includes luxury accommodations, game tickets, and a chance to mingle with some of the players after a game. 800-892-7687. He's on a road trip.
Yeah, 9-day trip, 3 National League, 3 American League.
He's got a pretty good gig.
There's a lot of families that or even buddies that will get together, and I've even heard some girls trips that will go to at least one major league city, every year, and kind of take in the sights and sounds of a visiting ballpark. I know you run across those people all the time.
No doubt. I really enjoy being around those families. By the way, we get word that Roy Oswalt has been put on the disabled list out with that sore back. We saw it happen last night.
That wasn't the first time this year either.
Failed to go more than 2 innings for just the 8th time in 316 career starts.
Well, remember when he made his start earlier here at Busch Stadium for Philadelphia, he'd come off the disabled list with lower back strains, and that time he went 5+, I think it was, but he failed to go to the 6th inning for some kind of a long stretch. He'd been on the road.
This may surprise you. Oswald's teams are now 1-7 in his last 8 starts against the Cardinals. It is very surprising. AT&T trivia question prior to Jose Bautista, who held the Blue Jays single season home run record. He hit 54 a year ago. George Bell, 1987, hit 47.
Remember Sports Time? Remember Sports Time?
Sure I do.
Failed venture, but I was in Cleveland doing a broadcast, and George Bell had just caught fire. And they asked, well, could you do an interview with George Bell? And I said, sure. They had no idea he was Dominican and didn't speak English.
So you guys were on the same page.
Yeah. Hey, Dan. Check mark. Your column. I told you I'm the only graduate of the Mike Shannon School of Diction.
I've heard you say that.
Partner, I like that. That was good.
Thank you very much.
I missed you.
I missed seeing you too. I see you on the post-game shows.
Well,
2-2 here on Skip Schumacher. Frank Martin, the Kansas State head coach in basketbal, Al, is bilingual. He speaks Spanish, he speaks English, and he said he went into a recruit's home, kid 6'10", and he has a Spanish last name. So he starts speaking Spanish to him for about 5 minutes, and the kid finally, and he said very shy, kid finally spoke up. He says, Coach, I don't know a word you're saying. I speak English.
that happens a lot even in baseball, you know, where you would think even more so that you'd be accurate.
Oh, and Coach Martin was telling me, he said, I felt great. You know, I thought we had the inside track. I could speak Spanish to his mother and the young man, and neither one of them spoke Spanish. By the way, he did get the kid, too. He's a good player, too. Swing and a miss by Schumacher. Back-to-back strikeouts.
That's 3 in a row. And you see a good little breaking ball, a little late action on it, kind of fooling. He had a 17 strikeout game last season. It was against Tampa Bay. And I believe that was a game where he went 8. It might have been 8 2/3 innings of no-hit baseball. You know. And Longoria broke it up with a single.
There's a fly ball into right field. Bautista backing up, and he'll make the catch. The top of the lineup coming up for Toronto as we move to the 5th. Baseball start, 5 1/3, 1 earned run, 4 hits against the Pirates. June 24th, 1970. Our Schnucks this date in baseball history. What do you remember from that night?
Well, I remember a couple things. Without my contribution to Roberto Clemente, he would not have gotten 3,000 hits.
Figured as much.
He got 2 of the 4 hits off me. I'm warming up, Dan. I'm warming up. I've been in the big leagues about 9 days. And Billy Muffet was our pitching coach. He goes, I'm not going to tell you how to pitch any of these guys. You already know how. Take that into, Dave Duncan compared to Dave Duncan's research. But he said, Clemente, don't even throw anything inside. Don't throw anything inside. Don't even try and knock him down and hit it for a rope. Got the first 2 guys out. Clemente, I threw a curveball. He got a base hit over shortstop. Got Stargell out. I come in and he goes, I forgot to tell you, don't throw any curveballs either.
That's the kind of advanced scouting they had.
That was advanced scouting we had.
Line shot, and Rasmus makes the catch in center field.
The Pirates, we were leading 2-1, and the Pirates tied it up with 2 outs in the 9th, and then we lost it in the 10th.
Line out here off the bat of Yunel Escobar. Positioning was perfect there. You talk about scouting reports now.
Oh,
it's amazing.
I showed Dave Duncan one time Joe Schultz's entire National League book on all the hitters. It was on a little 3x5 notebook, and I mean, you start every other hitter up and in, down and away.
In the air, right center field. That'll get down. Rasmus won't get to it, and it's to the wall. Eric Thames with his 2nd double of the night, and he can run as well. Every Sunday during the 2 hours prior to the Cardinals game, enjoy free frozen treats, prizes in the Ford Plaza courtesy of North Star. And we'll have another North Star ice cream sundae this weekend. Also, $10 seats are available this weekend, and with those you get a free hot dog and Coke, and the kids will take home a giveaway as well. That's this weekend, this Sunday, here at Busch Stadium.
How about this respect? A lot of clubs are starting to do this, especially when the on-deck hitter Adam Lynn was out with the bad back. But right now, 54 home runs a year ago, leading the major leagues with 22 this year, and the 325 average coming in. He's starting to get the ultimate respect.
And they said, Al, that he has been tested, drug tested, more than any other player in either league over the last year and a half, for obvious reasons. When a guy hits a career of 61 home runs in 575 games and now 76 the last year and a half.
Yeah, his career high prior to last year was 16. And the one thing, as I said, he's always been a good athlete. He had very quick hands. They just tried to change his mental approach at the plate, and physically he had the talent to try and do some things that they want him to do, and monster numbers have materialized.
So the intentional walk to Batista, 11th time that has happened for Batista. That's the 64th walk he has had this year, and you're going to look at the pitch count for Westbrook. So we will see this bullpen here tonight.
Yeah, and this is, it's got to be very frustrating to Jake, because as I said, he's the type of pitcher that you would think would always have low pitch counts because he's pitching to contact. He's not a strikeout pitcher. When he's on, he doesn't walk many. So he's getting, should be getting quick ground ball outs. And if he does give up a base hit, a single, then they always have the ability to get another ground ball double play. But almost all season long, the pitch count is gotten up there quickly.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Exclusive list, 15 home runs, 45 RBIs with less than 250 at bats, and 2 of the 3 for Toronto, and in the middle, Lance Berkman. The 1-2 pitch fought off, and Schumacher couldn't get to it. It's a base hit. And the throw will go into third as Toronto has the lead 3-2. RBI for Lynn, his 2nd of the night.
mentioned that the Jays having trouble scoring runs. So much of their offense is surrounded Batista and Lynn. So once you get by them, you kind of have a little breather. But right now, this combination has been doing some damage. And then Thames, who was recalled yesterday, has been right in the middle of it with a pair of doubles and scored 2 of the 3 runs.
This is where you're hoping that ground ball comes through and you get the double play and get out of damage. Westbrook is due up first for the Cardinals, looking ahead to the bottom of this inning. Strike at the knees. Hill has an RBI base hit in the first. Struck out in the third. Westbrook is struck out 3 on the night. He's allowed 1 walk, and that was the intentional walk moments ago to Bautista.
If Westbrook gets the double play or keeps this a 3-2 game, even though he's the leadoff hitter, you can see Tony keeping him in there even with 95 pitches, trying to extend these guys out, asking for more innings from the veterans because of the problems in the bullpen right now.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Ground ball past the diving Descalso, and a run will score to make it 4-2.
If it would have been 3-2.
Hill picks up his second RBI, now with 30 on the year. Al, I'm not saying that this is the spot for Ryan Franklin, but I'm just curious about your thoughts. He has not pitched in 8 days. He's made just 10 appearances since May 1st.
Well, I was a little surprised he didn't get the call last night. And I talked to Ryan Franklin, you know, at Tony's golf tournament, and he feels that working with Dave Duncan and his Mitchell Boggs, that, you know, they found a mechanical flaw. Well, it's great to find it, but if you're not pitching for 8 days, what good is it? Because, you know, and Dave was a catcher, Tony was an infielder. They think that you can throw in the bullpen and stay sharp. You cannot. The only way you stay sharp is be on that mound out there. And to be honest with you, a guy like Franklin, whatever he does, it really won't mean anything until he's pitching in games with a lead late in a ball game.
Now it's Molina, 1 out, 2 runners on. Claire Yackel is at her first Cardinal game tonight, 4 months old. Teresa and Andrew, both from St. Louis, now living in Fort Worth, are huge Cardinal fans. Wanted to make sure that Claire Yackel experienced her first Major League game right here at Busch Stadium.
Did Claire text that one?
She did not.
Oh.
She still probably is better than you with the text messaging.
No
She's
doubt.
4 months old, Al.
No doubt. She can get it done quicker.
So Mitchell Boggs continues to throw in the bullpen. Runners at first and second, and a 4-2 Toronto lead.
Lucky little pick right there, but very athletic, bounced out there and got the ball. 98 pitches. So my hope of keeping it at 3-2 and keeping that pitch count down a bit and extending Westbrook later in this game will not happen.
Popped up. Playable. Foul territory. Tough play here for Bookman. Can't make the catch.
Reaches out there, and I'm sure he would be the first one to tell you that he should have made that play. No error charge, but a difficult play. But Lance is a stand-up guy that do everything he can to help Westbrook get out of the jam.
1-2 pitch up the middle. Diving stop by Schumacher, but the throw is wide, and the bases will be loaded. It's a base hit. Saves a run. Great effort again from number 55.
Well, that's it. You know, by keeping it on the infield. It is a hit, but he can't get it out. From prone position, he tried to flip it to Terrio way offline. And looks like we're going to have a pitching change right now.
The base is loaded with Lind, Hill, Molina all aboard. And here comes Tony La Russa and Boggs coming in. And obviously they feel this is a crucial spot right here. And Boggs coming in. It's our Chevy called to the bullpen. Bases loaded, 1 out when we come back. Sports Bar and Grill at Lumiere Casino. It's now open, a sports bar for everyone. By Jack in the Box, where right now you can get the new bourbon barbecue steak grilled sandwich at participating restaurants. And by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. Bases loaded. 4-2 in favor of Toronto. We're in the top of the 5th, 1 out. Edwin Encarnacion, who is 1 for 2. He had a double back in the 4th. Also grounded out to 3rd.
Couple reasons why Boggs is the choice. Is he is a strikeout pitcher, almost a strikeout per inning. He has inherited 8 runners. Inherited 8 runners, and only 1 has scored. So you're trying to get a guy that can get a strikeout or a pop-up on infield.
One ball, 1 strike. You do get a little concerned in spots like these. Boggs and Control going deep into counts or even walking a man. As we saw in that 8th inning the other night. Not with Boggs, but Batista, Mott had control issues.
Well, Mott, I just don't understand, because he has trouble getting the first batter out. Boggs has retired the first batter 17 out of 23 times. Encarnacion is 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts when facing Boggs. I still envision Mitchell Boggs being more of the 8th inning man. But right now, you don't want this game to get away from you.
That's pulled foul. Now officially strike 2. And the reason I say that is that Tim McClellan at least will stand up and usually put his right hand up to indicate a strike. And I was watching some of the infielders. They're looking back, so that, yeah, it's 2-2 now, but they were looking up at the scoreboard trying to figure it out.
He's been doing it for close to 30 years, but it really is frustrating. Sometimes the batter and catcher knows what he's calling, but no one else.
They've got the scoreboard at 1-2, and it is 2-2. Bases loaded. Davis on deck. The 2-2 pitch by Boggs. Got him. Big strikeout there.
I mentioned he's a strikeout pitcher. He's got a great fastball. He's got sinking action, but he has a more reliable breaking ball.
Now the question, if you get out of this inning, Al, with the way that the bullpen has been lately, a little bit shaky, do you stick with Boggs even though that his spot is due up first? We are only in the bottom of the fifth at that point in the game.
You know, you could do it either way. You could try to, use someone off your bench. Remember, you're carrying 13 pitchers, so you only have 4 extra men. Not a lot of experience there. And the question is like, oh, even if you do get out of, get a score in or even tie the game up, who do you have that's more reliable than Boggs right now? And when they sent him down, he went down to start. In my mind, that was the right decision. First of all, he shouldn't have been sent down.
By the way, watch his swing by Davis, and we have a chance to show it, but he finished up with the backswing. And here it is. It caught Molina, so that's one of the reasons why he went out there. Look at that. There's a little right hook from Devin Alexander.
Just kind of the hockey-style mask kind of deflected it, but it gets your attention. Doesn't take long to get around if a guy has a big, long backswing. But I was going to say, I didn't think Boggs should have ever been sent down. But if you're going to be sent down, go down to start to get innings. But his future is in the bullpen for the Cardinals. And in my mind, he's one of the more reliable choices Tony has.
1-2. Davis, numbers with the bases loaded, very, very good in his career. Outfield is straight away. Boggs trying to keep it a 2-run lead for Toronto. The 1-2 pitch. Got him. Back-to-back strikeouts from Mitchell Boggs. Villanueva and Garcia. Villanueva's 4-1. Jaime Garcia looking for win number 7. Line on Westbrook. 4 to third, 10 hits, 4 runs, 1 intentional walk, 3 strikeouts. So Mark Hamilton will be the pinch hitter for Mitchell Boggs. What a job by Mitchell. That's really a pick-me-up.
No doubt about it. I mean, he really did the job. Kelly Chase, one of our good friends, Blues announcer.
Here is Hamilton, the pinch hitter.
Lance Lynn, who had been starting, one of the Cardinals' bigger prospects a couple years ago, was their minor league pitcher of the year, and he'll be working out of the bullpen.
I know some, in talking with fans, Al, and I don't agree with it, have suggested why not putting McClellan back in the bullpen, Lynn in your rotation to settle the bullpen. But I'm in agreement with you. I think you keep Kyle right where he is.
Kyle won. You know, I mean, he is where he wants to be. It would be, I'm sure he would do whatever the club wanted him to do, but he would not be a happy camper. He has not failed in the role that he has. And if you remember, Tony's, every time he's ever talked about Kyle McClellan being in the rotation, he said, well, we're going to really have a problem filling his innings out of the bullpen. He was such a force in, you know, late innings, but he's got to stay in the rotation.
Now Hamilton's trying to get adjusted to this role at this level. Everyday first baseman Mark Hamilton at AAA Memphis, and now used sparingly here in the big leagues, and maybe gets 3 or 4 at bats a week with the way things have gone.
Well, you know, they want to get him some playing time. They want to see what he can do at this level. There's really no reason, or he has nothing to prove at Memphis. Been there the last couple of years. This year in 27 games, 385, 2 home runs, 22 RBIs.
And there is a strikeout of Hamilton. This Sunday, fans ages 15 and under receive the Cardinals duffel bag, presented by Powerade and Shop and Save. Again, $10 tickets available Sunday, and you'll get the bag, the free hot dog and Coke. Kids have the ice cream sundae before the game. That's this Sunday here at Busch Stadium. Two balls, 1 strike. Check that. He called it a strike. 1-2.
And he's only got 28 and a half years of major league experience, Tim McClellan.
There's the strikeout. Fox Sports Midwest invites our young hockey fans to the Blues youth hockey camp starting July 25th. The Ice Zone at the St. Louis Mills. Go to stlouisblues.com for more. I think of Tim McClellan as some of the Blues were here today taking BP. That's Ben Bishop. He's all of 6'7". Here's a 1-0 pitch. Fly ball into shallow right. Bautista makes the catch. 4-2 as we head to the 6th. Cecil from Camdenton, Missouri. Take Albert and Stan out of the equation. Who do you consider the next greatest Cardinal? Bob Gibson?
Bob Gibson, but of course, you know what I think of Bob Gibson, but you also know what I think of Lou Brock. So
that'd be the other one.
You got to put them right there together.
Ozzie Smith would be in that conversation. Hall of Famer Red Shandies.
Now there's a lot. You know, that's the neat thing about the Cardinals, their rich tradition.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done, if Albert stays here, where does he finish up with the numbers that he potentially could wind up with? 600, 700 home runs.
You know, I mean, potentially he shatters all records.
And there's a strike at the knees. First pitch by Lance Lynn. There's a look at Pujols, who has been very positive and optimistic about his return. He's been telling folks that he actually feels pretty good. But you have to be careful.
Yeah, that's almost the worst thing you could be saying. But, you know, obviously there's a very, very big mistake of trying to come back too soon.
And a ground ball that's hit to Schumacher for the first out. And Morrow is retired. He's 0 for 3. Lance Lynn, intriguing. Gives you insurance in your starting rotation. We'll see how he fares now out of the bullpen at this level.
Dan, you know my philosophy. I think guys that come up from the minor leagues, you know, this is the role that they should be put in. Instead of putting in the rotation, you know, you put them in the bullpen for a while. A manager can kind of protect you. He can get you your work in there, build your confidence up, but not overexpose you. It's very difficult today with pitch counts and the way young pitchers, you know, throw so many pitches that more times than not, a guy has, the only chance he has is he can get an L or no decision because he's taken out, you know, before 5 innings. Lance Lynn is in the minor leagues. He has gone a little deeper into ball games than most starting pitchers. But he's a big guy, and he really shouldn't have a pitch count.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Hit foul. 4-2. Toronto with the lead. They picked up 2 runs in the first and 2 last inning. Cardinals have a home run from Colby Rasmus tonight, and a sac fly RBI at the time to tie it up 2-2 off the bat of John Jay. 0-2 pitch here to Escobar. Lance Lynn is an Ole Miss product.
He'd rather be a can't miss.
Isn't that the truth?
We've seen a lot of can't miss prospects become suspects.
Here's 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. Another check swing and a foul.
Big guy that doesn't throw as hard as you may think, and that is something that you probably will see the velocity increase a little bit out of the bullpen. And he doesn't have to save a lot in the tank. You can just go out by out. And it truly gives you a guy.
That pitch at 95 according to our gun.
And you can, but it gives you a guy that, you know, that is trained and conditioned to go multiple innings out of the bullpen. It's kind of a lot, you know, it's an important role to have, but it's a guy you hope you never see in that role because you want your starters to go deep all the time. Where was that pitch?
Maybe just a little bit high. Looked pretty good.
Now we know the strike zone has been squeezed. And I say that from when I pitched. It was a much bigger strike zone. It's very tough for these kids today because they've taken away foul territory. You know, pitchers can't intimidate hitters anymore. The umpire's almost taking the inside pitch away.
Ground ball to short. Terrio up with it. 2 away. Good start here from Lance Lynn. What a job here by Mitchell Boggs tonight to come in. Bases loaded, 1 out, back-to-back strikeouts. And here is Thames, who is showing off the power and the speed.
But don't you think that that's a role that, you know, we think Mitchell Boggs can handle? And not that he's going to strike out everybody all the time, especially in a base load situation, but you're not surprised by it. I've been surprised because he hasn't pitched more. Dave trying to set the defense, trying to tell someone where to move. I wonder if it is Colby.
Colby just took a couple of steps in. Doesn't matter. A strikeout for Lance Lynn. 1, 2, 3 inning. This week it's Marine Week, and find out more at marines.mil/Marine Week schedule. They have put on a show here in downtown St. Louis.
Yeah, I guess today was really special down on the riverfront, and they're going to do the same, you know, and Harrier coming down over the river. They're going to have, you know, assault on a ship out in the river, like a pirate ship, you know, a Somali pirate, showing how they board them, amphibious assaults, and they're seating underneath the arch so that you can watch all this. I believe it's at 2 o'clock tomorrow. And of course, right out here in Ballpark Village, you have a demonstration and of all the weaponry that is in the arsenal of the Marine Corps. Very, very special guys, and we can't thank them enough for their service to all the branches. But they're some pretty neat kids.
Here's a 2-1 pitch to John Jay. Rips it fair inside the first base line. Jay on his way to second base. And he'll stop right there. Leadoff double. Tying run will come to the plate.
That's it, Dan. You know, you get the dramatic pitching by Boggs, then a shutdown inning by Lance Lynn. You get the offense a chance to start coming back against a tough pitcher who struck out 5 of the last 6 batters. But John Jay just line drive right over the infield, stays fair, leadoff double.
Another big crowd here at Busch Stadium. Again, a reminder, our sale till midnight tonight for $12 seats. Sunday, July 31st against the Cubs. Those are never easy tickets to get. Those are nearly sold out. $12 to go see the Cubs on a Sunday afternoon here. Also, Willie McGee bobblehead, the Pujols action figurine. Cardinals.com/summer to get your seats.
Thought you were kidding when you told me $12 seats for the bobblehead of McGee, one of the most loved Cardinals in history, and then the action figurine of Pujols, and $12 to boot.
$12.
Good opponents.
0-1 pitch here to Holiday, taken inside. Bill DeWitt was asked the other day about McGee and retiring number 51, and well, he said it's not out of the possibility. There is Bill DeWitt, and it was his son, the president, Bill DeWitt, that was asked this question. But he did say, he said, at this point, we don't know. You know, we're just not exactly sure if we would retire number 51. But he said, I can tell you that when we have our Cardinals Hall of Fame, you better believe guys like McGee and Edmonds, and who knows if Jimmy winds up in Cooperstown after it's all said and done. Might be on the outside looking in at this point, but
they would be inducted in the Cardinals Hall of Fame,
right?
Which really they don't have, correct?
Not yet.
So it's, I mean, really, the Cardinals have such great history.
Holiday out to deep left. At the wall, we are tied. Line drive, homer, Holiday.
Tries to throw a slider, doesn't get it far enough away, leaves it down and in the middle of the plate, and just a solid line drive into the bullpen.
Matt Holiday, safe at home, safe and secure, New York life.
Only his 9th home run, RBIs 38, 39, tying the score. But he just is a line drive hitter that has tremendous power, strength. What would his numbers be without being on the disabled list? He came into tonight's action 25 plate appearances below, qualifying for the league average. And he's already spent, the time on the disabled list, and he didn't go on the disabled list, but missed 7 games with the appendectomy. So he's missed a lot of time, but still the numbers are outstanding.
How does he hit that ball out?
Well, he is just so strong and centers that ball, and Berkman has been coming up empty.
Holiday, that home run, number 9, RBIs 38 and 39. Tied up 4-4. That sends a jolt through the crowd here at Busch Stadium.
See how they're pitching up, and that time Berkman laid off it. It really does seem that switch hitters, it's even more pronounced. From the left side, a switch hitter is going to be a low ball hitter. From the right side, a high ball hitter. Morrow, the first times where Berkman was able to get the ball elevated up away from him, and he got the 2 strikeouts.
And Berkman strikes out for the 3rd time tonight.
Another pitch up.
And now we're saying that there was no Cardinals Hall of Fame. Technically there was, but it was a transition phase. The idea meaning that they're going into Ballpark Village and then to have a huge display of
non-Hall of Famers type guys.
Non-Cooperstown Hall of Famers.
Right.
That pitch is taken a little low. Holiday's home run measured at 380 feet. Colby pops it up. foul territory. Encarnacion makes the catch. Colby Rasmus, by the way, earlier tonight with our Nissan drive of the game. 390-foot home run. This was high, towering shot. Our Nissan drive of the game.
No doubt about it. That made it 2-1 back then. Holiday's 2-run home run made it tie score 4-all.
So 2 outs and nobody on. And here is Skip Schumacher.
Cardinals have made the most out of their 5 hits. Blue Jays got 10 hits off of Westbrook.
4 of the 5, Al, have been extra base hits. Pair of doubles, pair of home runs. And a 1-0 pitch to Schumacher. He just looks so much better right now at the plate. Better swings, timing is better.
Well, it is so difficult to play at this level. And then when you miss 43 games or so and you come back and you only have 3 days to go to Florida and face extended spring pitchers, young kids, you know, you're all out there, don't know if they can throw a strike or not, so you're very guarded and protective. And then he was rushed here because Punto went back on the disabled list. You got to give him a couple weeks to get back into playing shape.
High chopper towards second base. Schumacher retired, but Matt Holliday has made it a new game. His home run has tied it up. It's 4-4. Back Cy Young Award winners Roy Halladay. Then Wednesday, maybe the best performance of them all. 126 pitches from Cliff Lee went the distance. Then Chris Carpenter, former Cy Young Award winner, 120 plus pitches, defeated the Phillies. So we've seen some pretty good pitching.
And Oswalt wasn't himself, but an outstanding pitcher in his own right.
Finished in the top 5 of the Cy Young Award 5 different times.
That's what I say. 5 out of 10 he's been in the top 5.
Here is Bautista. Intentionally walked his last time up. Then after that, 3 consecutive singles in the 5th inning. That gave Toronto the lead at the time, 4-2. Cardinals have tied it up. Takes pretty good healthy rip,
right.
doesn't he?
Well, unlike we said when he and such a wild swing, he might end up hurting himself. But when he first came to Toronto, they tried to, really get him to try and pull the ball, hit the ball out in front.
Grounder hit too short. Terrio strike to first. Milwaukee has played 37 home games before their ball game tonight against Minnesota. They trail 3-2. That's in the bottom of the 7th. They have not lost consecutive back-to-back home games this year. A stretch of 37 games. Last team to do that, 1996 New York Mets. Yet with all the adversity the Cardinals have had, Milwaukee has not been able to pull away. Neither has Cincinnati.
And when we were in Milwaukee 10 days, 2 weeks ago, their broadcasters were talking about how their team was getting frustrated as they were on a nice little winning streak but couldn't pull away from the Cardinals. And as soon as they swept the Cardinals, then they started having a losing streak. The Cardinals were falling on hard times, so once again they couldn't pull away from the Cardinals.
Both teams are 3-7 in their last 10.
That's right.
Prince Fielder has put together an MVP type season again, and what a month he has had. First in home runs, RBIs, and on base percentage. He has 9 home runs this month. Cardinals, after this series, will head out on the road, see Baltimore, Buck Showalter's club, and then the Tampa Bay Rays. How about Tampa Bay? They win the division a year ago, doing it with no people in the stands, really no payroll. Bullpen was completely reconstructed, and yet they still are finding ways to win and hang in there. They're only 3.5 games out.
Lost some offense too.
Manny Ramirez upped and retired.
I may, I'm not going to go on that trip, but I might show up there and buy a seat next to the heckler.
Take him out?
Take him out.
It's a good job for you.
Explain the heckler to our friends.
Well, he's a heckler. It's pretty self-explanatory. He doesn't stop, and you'll hear him for sure. Time to stretch. It's 4-4. Most memorable of all time. Stan the Man right now going up against Pete Rose. You can vote at MLB.com. The All-Star Game Tuesday, July 12th at 8. That's 8 Eastern. Only on Fox. Yadier Molina will lead it off.
Lance Lynn is going to hit for himself and stay in this ball game, and why not?
Very effective so far. 6 up, 6 down for the Cardinal right-hander Lance Lynn. After 4 innings, Jake Westbrook had thrown 82 pitches. Wound up with 100 on the night. His final line, 4 1/3, 10 hits, 4 runs. Mitchell Boggs came in with the bases loaded and 1 out. Struck out the next 2 as Jason Frazier is getting loose in the bullpen, the right-hander for the Blue Jays. Pitch number 92 for the right-hander. It's popped up and out of play.
And 0 for 2. Morrow's only allowed 5 hits, but as you said, 4 extra base hits, including a couple home runs.
Molina, high drive, left center field, and caught on the track. So Lance Lynn will hit for himself here.
Got a tie score. You have a young pitcher this condition as a starter in the minor leagues. Did make a couple starts for the Cardinals and then just recalled when Batista was released. They're doing the job here tonight. 6 up, 6 down, so let him stay in this game. And we also have that short bench, so why burn one of those, another one of those bats? You already burned Hamilton.
Two and 1 on Lance Lynn. Lance making a case for himself in the way he's pitched tonight. Stick around and try to solidify his spot in the bullpen.
I think the likelihood is a couple veteran guys have to step up and let some of these young kids stick around, especially if he continues to pitch like Lance Lynn has.
Hey, you think about his major league debut and that first start, a couple of plays that should have been made behind him, and if those are made, he probably wins that game.
Right. Remember, he had retired, I'm thinking something like 9 in a row, and then he hit Tejada.
Little bouncer to third. Lynn is retired.
Missed double play ball, extending an inning, and then a home run.
Brings in Descalso with 2 outs. How about Jim Riggleman, Al? And I know you know him very, very well. What did you think about that situation? And for people that don't know, he resigned as the manager of the Nationals.
Well, obviously we do not know all the details, but Jim had kind of gotten to the point. He had an extension for next season on his contract, and first was reported that he wanted that picked up and maybe even extension beyond. But he said no, he just really wanted the conversations that they would enter into conversation of picking up during the season. And you know, a lot of managers, and it's not the case for Tony or a well-established manager, and Jimmy has had a couple other stints, and he's, in my mind, a very good manager, and especially with that ball club right now, he's one of the ideal people. But a lot of managers don't like to be, you know, feel like they don't have the hammer.
Lame duck.
You know, a lame duck type, so to speak. And his ball club, you know, other than their first year in existence, has never been this close to 500. They had won 11 out of their last 12 ball games. So apparently discussions with Mike Rizzo, the general manager, that he wanted them to at least seriously talk about picking up the option, and it was lingering on more than just yesterday. But after the game, they had a walk-off base hit, and he walked out. Said, "That's it, I resign."
You just don't like to hear that in sports, especially with a guy that, as you mentioned, is a very good baseball man. And you wonder at the age of 58, when you leave the way that he did, how many opportunities will pop up again.
Yeah, and some people might, say, well, he quit on them. And
long way to go for Batista. Makes the catch on the run. Showing us a little bit of everything. The speed, the glove, hitting tonight. We head to the 8th. Cardinals baseball brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. By Bank of America, where ATM deposits are as easy as an infield fly. No deposit slip, no envelope. With Bank of America, member FDIC. And by AT&T. Beautiful night here in St. Louis. Al Raboski, Dan McLaughlin with you. In game number 1, the Cardinals and the Toronto Blue Jays. 4-4. Blue Jays have out-hit the Cardinals 10-5.
Cardinals 4-2 in interleague play this season. Over the years, they've been one of the more successful National League teams. Lance in his 3rd inning of work. Retired all 6 he's faced.
And a 2-0 pitch. Molina checked his swing. Yadier saying, I don't think so. I think my brother went around. Peeled down to first. No such luck. 3 balls and no strikes. Three and 1. Cardinals will have the top of the lineup coming up in the bottom of the 8th. Terry O'Jay and Holiday. Tell you what, Jose Molina is swinging from his heels, isn't he?
A lot of the guys on both sides are taking awfully big swings. A little more in the American League is you get known for 3-run home runs in that league where everybody swings for fences.
A 3-2 pitch. Misses on the outside corner. Leadoff walk. And that's the first base runner to reach against Lance Lynn.
Lance will find out late in the ball game. The worst thing you can do is walk someone. Make them hit their way on.
Here's Encarnacion. Doubled back in the fourth.
Good breaking ball there. Come back and get strike one.
Lance would love the double play here. Encarnacion and Davis on deck, the speedster.
5 of the 6 outs have been ground balls. Yeah, they're a strikeout, so very capable of erasing the walk with a double play.
1 ball, 1 strike. Big gap in the right center field.
I'm sure the Toronto Blue Jays thought that they were getting the best end of that deal when they traded Scott Rowland, picking up a much younger Encarnacion. Get Scott off the turf.
Remember how high the Reds were at one point on this young man?
But then he kind of wore out his welcome, and maybe not far from the same here in Toronto.
Inside, and it's 3-2.
Guess we're going to have to teach Lance Lynn, if he wants to be a big leaguer, he needs to get a big league glove. Get a Rawlings glove.
Well, it's crazy. It's the first time I've ever heard you say that. Strikeout from Encarnacion. Tim McClellan makes sure that everybody has to wait, so he gets everybody's attention to make the call.
Usually he verbalizes it, and I don't know what he was looking for. Just kind of a high breaking ball, but you see it comes down right around the belt. I guess Encarnacion didn't agree, and we're waiting for the pinch hitter.
Part of the Pine Tar incident. Tim McClellan.
Yeah, Corey Patterson.
We're speaking about the George Brett game at the old Yankee Stadium.
He was the home plate umpire that day?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so too. Seeing the video.
I think he was also part of the Sammy Sosa cork bat incident at Wrigley Field.
Now we're going to have a pinch runner at first base. Jason Nix.
So Nix will be the runner for Molina. 1 out. And here is the well-traveled Corey Patterson.
He's bounced around to a lot of different ball clubs, but really just never realized the potential that the Cubs thought he would have.
I want to say that Patterson was traded for Sammy Sosa.
I think so too. That rings a bell to me.
Baltimore deal. First pitch is fouled back.
Juan Rivera, another well-traveled outfielder, is on deck if the inning is extended.
Corey Patterson came up with the Cubs in 2000. Baltimore in 06, 07. He was with Cincinnati, Washington, Milwaukee. Back to Baltimore, now in Toronto. And he looks at strike 2.
Seeing better velocity from Lance Lynn, but you know the one thing about him, he could spot his fastball pretty well, and then good enough off-speed pitches to keep people from centering the ball. Inside fastball. That's how you pitch. If you miss inside off the plate. You don't leave it middle half where late in the ball game, a tie game all of a sudden becomes a 2-run home run.
Corey Patterson, 3rd overall pick back in 1998. The fastball away is what Lynn wants to go with. He gets it there. Drops in front of Holiday. Nick's on his way to 3rd, and here comes Toronto. And here comes the disclaimer. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Well, after a fastball in, they try to go a fastball away. And a good piece of hitting as Patterson just kind of stroked it out there to left center. Here's Juan Rivera, that one time was a very, very big prospect.
Well, for Morrow, 7 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, and 1 walk. He gave up a couple of home runs. Juan Rivera batting .250, 5 home runs. He's driven in 24. Lance Lynn needs the double play here or a strikeout.
Rivera, 32 on opening day, has been with the Yankees, Montreal, Angels, and now with Toronto.
Pitch out. He'll be put it to the screen.
Rivera's a guy you'd think that you have him up there to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Would have fooled me if they put the squeeze on him.
We talked about Jim Riggleman moments ago, and John McLaren is moving from the bench to be the interim manager of the Nationals.
Yeah, they went on the road right after he resigned. John McLaren has ties to to Toronto as a player. Years ago, Rivera hit 25 home runs, 88 RBIs for the Angels.
And the 1-0 pitch. Fly ball. Shallow left. The catch is going to be made by Theriot. Big out there for Lance Lynn.
Breaking ball and kind of ended up down and in. Had him out in front, just got up underneath it.
Now we're back to the top of the lineup. Yunel Escobar.
It's a good hustling play by Theriot. I think initially you thought it was going to go. You knew it wasn't. Holiday was going to have to come in, but you really thought the left fielder was going to catch the ball, not the shortstop.
So you saw that graphic. 2 outs, runners in scoring position. Escobar looks at strike 1. It's ironic, in Seattle, Riggleman was the interim when McLaren got fired.
Right. And is that where Washington goes tonight? No, they're in White Sox.
Here's the 0-1 pitch to Escobar. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Can't rely on those Minnesota Twins, a hot team, but Milwaukee has come from behind and they lead 4-3 with the Twinkies batting in the ninth.
Justin Morneau is having neck surgery, out 6 more weeks for the Twins.
Oh.
1-1 pitch. Strike 2.
Maybe that'll help take care of the concussion problems too. Give more time for him to recover. Sometimes you put that fake, look to third, fake it there and throw to first to try and catch that runner, but when you're pitching ahead in the count to the batter and all of a sudden you got to change your concentration and do something like that when you almost get the feeling that I want to go to the plate because I know I can retire this man right now and get out of the inning.
Crowd has come alive here at Busch Stadium. Runner from first off with a pitch, and it's hit out of play. That was Patterson, had a very good jump.
Two strikes, 2 outs, get the hitter out, but so keep your concentration at the plate, and if you get the batter out, even if he does steal, you can't score.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Escobar. Stolen base for Patterson. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Yunel Escobar.
Some of these pitches are not quite as sharp. Getting underneath them a little bit and not staying on top of that breaking ball and keeping it down and away.
Ground ball, little chopper to Terrio. Lynn will get out of the jam. Well, one of the best in the game is Jim Joyce. There are different ways to call balls and strikes. And back on May 23rd, we were in San Diego, and Jim Joyce, listen in and watch. No one is guessing whether or not it's a ball or a strike. And in this spot, you have to wait.
And that was a quick one.
That really was.
That really was a quick call for Tim McClellan.
So different ways to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Dutch Renard was a little screamer.
Jim Joyce is so demonstrative with his calls, and that night, according to Fox Tracks, he only missed, a handful of balls and strikes. And you think that these guys see, 200 to 300 pitches a game, and only to miss, single digits. It's pretty impressive.
No doubt about it. Of course, they'll tell you they never miss a pitch.
Here's Terrio.
And we'll tell you they miss a lot.
Frazier is the new pitcher. Ryan Terrio 0 for 2 with a sacrifice. And we are playing here in the bottom of the 8th on a Friday night here in St. Louis. Game 1 of this 3-game series between the Blue Jays and the Cardinals. Morrow 7 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs. 3 of those were earned. Gave up 2 home runs. He walked 1. Lance Lynn is turning into a story tonight for the Cardinals. Right-handers getting loose in the Birds' pen. Terrio shoots it into right center field, but that'll be caught. They were playing shallow, and the catch is made by Patterson.
Boy, he had good placement there, as you see the Cardinal closer warming up.
Here's John Jay, who has an RBI sac fly tonight. Also doubled and scored back in the 6th inning. We're close to 40,000 here tonight. Just over 37, we understand. 1 out, nobody on. First pitch to Jay.
So you get a big walk-up. The Cardinals have a real emotional victory here tonight. 4-4 tie. Only 5 hits.
37,324 tonight. Go back to what we were talking about before. Now the adjustments that John Jay has made at this level. You feel comfortable with him playing any of the outfield positions. But just when you think that the league has figured him out, he's made that adjustment.
Well, one of the things too that we kind of have discounted is late last season, he started struggling a little bit. That was the first time he played in September. When you're playing minor league baseball, you play 5 months, your season's over at the end of August. It doesn't sound like much, but the mental and physical grind. So, a guy who goes through his first September, the next year, he's better prepared for the 162 games.
John Jay with a fly ball, left field. Now to follow up on your point, I'll never forget Cal McClellan, his first year in the big leagues, and he said by the end of August, early September, and he was completely honest with everybody. He said, I was absolutely fried. I was done. And there were times it was just tough to go out there.
Well, there were times when obviously he didn't say anything. As you see, Holiday, the reason we're tied 4-4 is a 2-run home run. Went down, got a pitch, lined it into the visitors' bullpen. And that's where we are. That was in the 6th. Now we're playing in the bottom of the 8th. But, there were times where Kyle McClellan, just because was used and really did so well, he just never complained, took the ball. But there were times where I'd see him and I put my hand on his pitching arm and he'd like so protective of it because it was so tender.
Watch Holiday and you see Jose Bautista here tonight, both with that high leg kick, the front leg, and then both have tremendous power.
A little different build, though. I mean, Matt Holiday is as strong as anybody in this game, and his physique shows it. Where if you look at there, kind of a wiry body, an old-fashioned ball player's body. Actually, maybe even a little taller than the 50s and 60s home run hitters that were probably 5'10" to 6 foot, 180 to 200 pounds. Think about Killebrew.
See, this crowd is into their seat, ready to explode to see Holiday take one deep. 2 balls, 1 strike. 2-2.
Frazier's been around a long time with Toronto, and interesting, he was traded for Jason Worth. Traded the Toronto Blue Jays in exchange for outfielder Jason Worth on March 30th, 2004.
Big gap in left center field. The 2-2. It on the hands of Holiday.
Originally signed with Detroit Tigers in the 30-30 round of '99. This right-handed pitcher.
One of the things that was kind of surprising tonight, the velocity of Lance Lynn. It hit the mid-90s, and at the end of last year, that's where he was pitching for Memphis. He was mid-90s.
Seeing this kind of defense, you know, look at big gap out in left center, and they're pitching him in. Playing him almost to hit to right field, particularly in the outfield. And look at the second baseman well out of the grouse. They're playing for him to hit that way too. You know how he overpowers the ball, and so many of his ground balls are hit so hard they go through the middle for base hits. Guess they're assuming that if he hits the ball to the left, it's going to be out of the ballpark.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Holiday. Struck him out. We head to the 9th of a 4-4 game here in Game 1.
Cardinals live. Pat Paris and Rick Horton will be at the Stadium Sports Bar and Grill at Lumiere Place. Jake Westbrook struggles the 3rd time through. The bullpen locks it down, and somebody is going home with a hungo. Fernando Salas on to pitch for the Cards, and we go back to the booth and Dan and Al, guys.
All right, Jim, thanks. And Salas now pitching in back-to-back games. You might remember last night, warmed up, came in, 1 pitch, 1 out, so back out there tonight. And now we have lost some of the lights here at the ballpark, and it's the 2nd time it's happened this year.
Same bank, right?
I believe so, Al.
Yeah.
And last time was against San Francisco, and Brian Wilson was the pitcher at that time, and Alan Craig was at the mound, or Alan Craig was at the plate, and they suspended play. Now, in this case, Tim McClellan has not ordered the teams off the field, but we've been through this before.
Yeah, he's kind of like, where are you going, guys? It was about a 16-minute delay. It appeared to be much darker that night than right now at the home plate area.
Al, of concern for Tony La Russa, making the point about Salas in back-to-back nights. You wonder about his availability depending on what happens tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday. But here he is, ready to go, ready to pitch, and now you're going to have to get him warm again.
Well, if he only pitches, one inning tonight, I think he would be available. It was my experience, the days that you warmed up 2 or 3 times and did not go into a game, it took more of a physical toll on your body, especially if you warmed up 2 or 3 times and didn't get into a game and you had an off day the next day. Then it was tough to come back.
So the second time this year. And I'm not sure if it shows up. That's a chair for one of the bat boys.
No, we don't really talk about it, but it's one of the rare times you ever see an umpire does get a chance to sit down. And once lineup cards are exchanged, they're out there for good. Players get to sit down in between each inning, but not the umpires.
So we'll take a timeout. They work on the lights here at Busch Stadium. Here we go. We move to the ninth inning. Fernando Salas, a couple of warm-up pitches. He says he's ready. Let's dial it back up. Numbers for Fernando. His 30th appearance this year. We forget he did not break with the club, but right now he is their closer.
And the reason he didn't break is he had a very good spring, but they felt like he was a one-inning pitcher, and they chose to go with Brian Augustine, who is now been sent to Memphis. He's come off rehab, who could pitch multiple innings.
First pitch is hit out of play. Game was delayed 13 minutes.
They've gotten better. I think the first time was 16 minutes. Experience, more practice.
Experience they'd rather not have to go through.
True.
Late in games.
Or anytime.
Here's a 1-1 pitch.
Home team is responsible for playing conditions. Cardinals won a protest game in the 70s when they had an automatic tarp, and in Pittsburgh it failed to go out on the field during a rain delay, and Cardinals won the protest because the game was stopped, and the other leagues ruled that Pittsburgh did not have their equipment in working order.
2-2 pitch, foul back. But for Salas here, Al, trying to get it back going again and gear it up mentally, physically. Pitching last night, warms up, ready to throw that first pitch, has to sit down, goes back out, all those things.
Not ideal, and really you got to fight against the mental aspects of being frustrated by the situation.
Left center, Rasmus taking charge and makes the catch.
I think the one thing that everyone likes about Salas is nothing really bothers him. Only had a couple rough outings, but he has shown that ability to put it aside, bounce back from it, and just control what he has control of.
Here's Bautista, what he's done prior to and then since that big year. Amazing. First pitch, a strike. Wonder if Tony La Russa was tempted to throw Lance Lynn one more inning. He was very good.
Personally, I like that idea. Now, he did allow his only 2 base runners last inning, but he pitched around them.
Opposite field, it's well hit. At the track, at the wall, leaping, and it's over the wall, just past John Jay. And it's a home run. Bautista, his 23rd of the season, and Toronto has the lead 5-4.
Opposite field shot, high towering fly ball, and how much? John Jay tried to give his best effort to get to the wall, jump up, and just short. Trying to time this leap too close to the wall, and that impeded his jump. Don't know if he would have caught it or not, but trying to time it, and then the wall stopped him.
Now Adam Lind. Cardinals will have Berkman, Rasmus, Schumacher coming up in the bottom of the ninth.
I say I'd rather have Lance Lynn go back out.
Here's the 0-1 pitch.
Now Salas, just emotionally, the roller coaster. You got to forget about the home run. Got to make sure your team is down by 1 when they hit in the bottom of the ninth.
Left field to Matt Holliday. Makes the catch. Toronto was swept in 2003 in interleague play. here at in St. Louis at the Old Busch Stadium. They scored 5 runs in all those games and lost all 3. We had 5 here tonight. They lead it by a run.
Yeah, they've never won a game in St. Louis. Hopefully that'll stay intact.
The legend of Jose Bautista continues to grow. Amazing.
It is amazing. Remember, he hit some bombs last year in interleague play against the Cardinals as he pulled the ball to left field.
Had 2 in 1 game.
Yep. Hit over 300 against the Cardinals going back to Pittsburgh and now Toronto.
Ground ball left side. Terrio makes the play. Lance Berkman has struck out 3 times tonight. He'll try to atone for that when we come back. On opposite field into the Cardinal bullpen has given the Blue Jays a 5-4 lead, and Lance Berkman will lead it off. Well, Al, what do we know about Frank Francisco?
Well, they got a lot of options in their bullpen. They really have 3 closers. They got John Roche, they got Dortal, and they have Francisco. As he was with Texas the last few years. Two years ago, he had 25 saves for Texas. Last year, just 2. He has 7 on the year. John Farrell, John Roush has 7 saves. This guy has been very good at counteracting right-handed batters. They're only batting 172 against him this season. Has had 3 blown saves. And he kind of looks a little bit like Lee Smith.
Got the walk down, doesn't he?
Yeah, not quite as big. He's from the Dominican. He's 6'2", 250. So add another 50 pounds and add about 3 or 4 more, 2 or 3 more inches. But he walks as fast as Lee. Nah, he needs to work on that too, doesn't he?
He does. 3 for 6, Berkman against this right-hander. Salas gives up the home run here tonight. Will it be a game winner for Bautista? The first pitch to Berkman. Taken for a ball inside.
94 miles an hour. Late in the ball game, if you're going to pitch inside, you miss inside. And 6 with this one. Almost flirting with danger when you throwing it inside. You know the fastball is going to come. You kind of turn on it. You speed up your bat, turn on it. You can hit it out. Now they go away.
And Berkman hits it out of play. You have to wonder right now, a little concern for Fernando Salas hitting his first bump in the road.
Personally, I think it'd be fine. You know, he's shown that ability that, you know, nothing really phases him. But you're right, Dan. You really don't know about young pitchers until they go through a rough spell and see if they complicate it, or can they just let the water roll off their back and be ready to pitch the next time out.
2-1 pitch to Berkman.
Remember, walks lead to losses. Late inning walks, especially leadoff walks, really spells trouble. It's a 3-1 pitch.
Berkman, ground ball that stays fair. And that's the first out. ERA since May 22nd for Salas is nearly 5.5.
Berkman must have thought this was a foul ball as he never ran. Very uncharacteristic for him. You can't be the judge.
One of those tough nights. He hasn't had many so far.
Yeah, 3 strikeouts, and then frustration showed on that one.
Rasmus, line drive into right. Bautista makes the catch. Our Budweiser player of the game, Jose Bautista, 2 for 4 with a solo homer. Final hope right now is Schumacher. First pitch fouled back.
Good work by the Cardinal bullpen until the 9th inning. Remember, Boggs inherited a bases loaded 1-out situation. Struck out 2 batters. Lance Lynn gives you 3 shutout innings. Bullpen is a lot of decisions. Currently have 28, looking like they'll have their 29th decision. Well, they will one way or the other in this game, but they're 14-14, 14 blown saves.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Foul back by Schumacher. Much of this crowd is stuck around. There's fireworks later tonight. Bautista could be the hero again for the Blue Jays. The 0-2 pitch. Toronto takes game 1. The final 5-4. Bautista's home run, the difference.
A lot of good things, but just one home run by Bautista kind of spoiled a lot of good things. But remember, Boggs is out. Remember Lance Lynn, and some clutch hitting also, but just not enough.
So again, our final, Toronto beats St. Louis 5-4 here in game 1. The post-game show is coming up next.